And when you're done with it, you just hit save and it'll save in whatever format you tell it to save in. So
Okay.
I just use MP4 because that's YouTube format. So that way
Okay.
I can upload them onto my website and people can watch them from there.
And
And
what
so,
we're most for this, I guess we're just gonna go through like the sales drawings.
oh yeah, yep. So you guys wanted to see like so now remind me, you guys are mostly residential or mostly commercial, Euro?
This division, we do have a commercial division,
Mm-hmm.
um, but the division I'm in is residential.
Okay, that's right, residential.
So with our drawings, we don't need them as detailed as what like your default database, at least what I've seen from it,
Uh huh.
with all your call outs and everything. We do need call outs, but
Not as much.
not as much because it tends to confuse the client.
Gotcha. Alrighty. Okay. So so as far as the drawings go, so now in your residential, do you do more face frame, more frameless, inset doors, overlay doors?
We do, we pretty much do all of it.
Okay.
So we can pick one style and just go with it.
Okay. I have a few set up in here. There's these are just kind of demonstration setups, just to help people so they can see different aspects of the database.
How
Um,
about we do that, a beaded inset face frame?
okay. So, and these of course these are called configuration files, and you can have unlimited
Okay.
numbers of these. So, and anytime you change one thing in here, like maybe you change from a 3 centimeter countertop to a 2 centimeter countertop, you'll come up with the word modified at the end saying that you
Okay.
changed your original. That way you'll know that you changed the original. And and that will allow you to either rename it or save it as something else.
Okay.
So, but as far as company defaults start, you might have some company defaults, and that would be like this. And so that would
Yeah.
have your basic settings with the hardware you want to use. Here we got tandem 562s. Um, we can do like 563s for half-inch drawers and 5/8 drawers, depending on what you use all the time. If I was going to change this and set it up, for example, a lot of my customers use 5/8 drawers, but a lot of them do
Yeah.
the buyout.
We use them.
You use all 5/8s?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can pick that right off the bat. And let me go back to construction here. And I'll pick the drawer box construction as Bloom Tandem. That's good. Now my material will be my 16 millimeter tandem or tandem 5/8, either way you want to call. And my hardware was my tandem for 5/8. That way all my reveals will match. If I want 3/32 reveals from the doors, there's my bead profiles I've created and can choose from. And let's see, you can go through and pick all your doors and the styles and materials. This particular material schedule is called wood hardwood, and it's designed so that you can render real easily on it and
Okay.
just call it whatever material you want. And here I'm going to save it, and I'm going to save it on top of my old one just because I don't need the word modified, and this is more common anyway, so I'll just stick with this.
Okay.
And I can pick my crown moldings, that I want to use in the room from the draw. These are all brown wood profiles. Um, various things that you can pick from. I'll hit cancel, or actually, because I modified this, you can see that there's a modified,
Okay.
but you can also see the originals right there. So if I want to go back to the one that I just saved and change the crown back, I'll just go back to that. and now the modified one's gone because I went back to the original. So, so now hardware, here I got a pull knob schedule, but I'm going to go ahead and pick a HAFLA. I just added bow pulls and bar pulls into here. So let's do like 128. Let's see. That's probably fine on the doors. And again, I'm going to save this. I'm going back over there just because I want it to be a little dressier the next time we do. When you're picking your doors and drawers out, this is the all category. So you can pick one for everything, and that will be your bases, your drawers, your uppers, your base cabinets, drawers, upper cabinets, end panels, end panels, end panels. So if you see italics, that means it differs from the all.
Okay.
And so you can open up and select different options.
Okay. I think for this, it doesn't matter what drawer excuse me,
Yep.
drawer style we use. I guess a default one would be great, just so we could see kind of the details of sales drawing or drawings for clients.
Yep. So we'll go ahead and leave that picked as the original, and we'll go ahead and start the job. And you can, enter in your wall heights and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So normally if I'm drawing out a room, I just get the rough shape out, and then you see how this highlights in yellow. So when you click on a wall, so that means you don't have to come over and click it to start typing. All you have to do is click on the wall, and whatever's highlighted in yellow, you can just start typing. So if I want to type 120, I can type 120. And here again, and maybe this one will be 72. So if it's not highlighted, then you can use your tab button, or you can drag the mouse over there to go move it. So you can save stuff in a bar down here, which is pretty easy. One of the things that's very interesting with Cabinet Vision is that these libraries really are very generic. Okay, so you can see that. So here's a door base, and there's a drawer door base. Okay, now in your construction method, you set the height of this opening for a drawer, and then whatever else is left is the doors below it. And this is a face frame cabinet, right? So you might think that this is a face frame catalog, but it's not. The catalog itself just saves the outside of the box. Then all of the things that were picked in here on these columns, these determine what these are all applied to the catalog.
Okay.
So if I take a job like this, and this was a inset bead, you could see that that last one was a frame. Let me switch real quick to a P-lam job with colors, and it's just a flat P-lam job. I'm going to go right into the same object, and you can see that it's now turned into a regular frameless cabinet with P-lam colors on it. So catalogs in Cabinet Vision don't mean a whole lot. And that's because they're just so fast to grab a cabinet and do what you want with it. That's the huge benefit of Cabinet Vision, is I can just grab anything off this shelf, right? Well, let's say the tall, because the double oven cabinet is the big one for everybody. So to be able to edit that double oven cabinet, you just real quickly go in here to default assembly. That basically gives you a shell.
Okay.
And again, I'm going to go back into this room real quick. Well, cancel. And hang on, I'm going to go to overrides and see, these are all the things that changed on here. So let's go back in here to our frameless, which was our inset bead? Where was that?
I think it was number 25. There you go.
All right. So now we've got it back to number 25. So that whole cabinet just changed. Even though it was already in the room, now it just changed to a beaded frame with the doors. So this is a really huge asset to Cabinet Vision. As a cabinet maker, you're like, what do I want to do? I want to add a rail and a rail here. So divide it up into 3 openings. Okay. Now I can click on it. I can say that this is 4 inches if I want. I can drag it anywhere I want. I can go to the interior parts once I'm kind of satisfied that I've got this more or less laid out the way I want it. I can go to the interior. Now I can see the dashed lines representing my face frame. So I need a deck. So I'm going to click on that rail. And I need another deck up here. I'm going to click on there. Now maybe this is adjustable shelves in here. So we'll just tell it it's adjustable shelves. Let's go to the face and call this one a drawer. And let's just say this one's got a panel on it because we might want to put a double oven cabinet in there. So let's take this one and change. We can manually decide what the height is. So let's say that's 12. And we can lock it so it won't change. And now we know whatever the double oven is. So let's just say it's at 44. And we'll lock that. And then this is whatever's left over. And so now if it gets too tight, let's just take one of those shelves out of there. I just hit the delete button on my keyboard and it got rid of it. And if you're trying to equalize the space, you can equalize the space and it will do so as long as it doesn't interfere with any other setting that you've got, which in this case I have the whole set for 6 top, 6 bottom, and then in between, and you can see it only drilled 2 holes because that's all this particular one has settings for. So in this case that might just be left out of there.
Could we just throw in some base and uppers, and then we can go and see what our plans are?
Yep. Okay. If you want to, well, let's go into here. So there's my tall filler.
When you push that to it, it automatically kicks off the finished end, doesn't it?
Yep. And you can just overlap it and it'll push itself into the right position. It won't, like microvellum will actually allow you to overlap the cabinets, and if you're not paying attention, you can end up overlapping the cabinets and have them be the wrong size.
You can do the same thing with a cabinet where you drag it over and it'll pop back to where it's aligning.
Okay. Yep. This looks like it's supposed to be. What is this one? Is that 94? What we got there? Okay, 94 for the tall. All right, normally these will pop in, but I guess I didn't set my heights. Oh, tall 94. That must have got accidentally saved then to the wrong height. So you want to, so now what did you want to do? Did you want to see?
Just put in some uppers and bases, just so we have a wall of cabinets.
Okay.
And then go to the drawings, because that was our main sales guy. He wants to see what the drawings will look like.
Gotcha. So depending on, let me. So you click on the wall, put in your countertops, then you can edit them depending on what's going on with the walls. And let's see here. Cabinet Vision has a few goofy things that they do. Alright, let's make sure that is correct. This is correct. Alright.
That's pretty easy just to change everything. That's really nice.
Yeah, it does make it handy. And when you're trying to like line things up, next to each other, there's a setting in here so that let's say you're double clicking this and you go to edit and well you can't see the cabinet next to you to know exactly what you're trying to line up. And so you can just change your setting in here so that when you double click a cabinet, edit it in the elevation. Now when I double click a cabinet, it'll stay right there.
Nice.
So now if I was trying to line up, this rail with this one or something, and I was, trying to tell it needed to line up, I can go in and make sure it's lining up.
Yeah.
Correctly, so that one's 2.3125. So, oops, cancel. 2.3125. So now I'll line up next to the other one. And my shelf. It took one of my shelves out because I scrunched it. There we go.
Okay.
All right, and then if I was putting some molding in, again, click on the wall, auto build, ground molding. I'll do current wall face, and it'll put what it needs to in there. And it'll automatically put it in. Looks like that filler was a little deep. 23 1/8. So it didn't actually put the filler, the molding in correctly because it didn't go to the end. So that's the beauty of this molding. And click out here, delete. Auto build, current wall face. Now I'll put it back. There we go.
Okay.
So that way it'll pick up everything the way it's supposed to. And you can tell it, like if you notice on these drawers, let's go into here for a second. So if you notice the top and bottom rails here are quite a bit skinnier than here, right? Because this is a raised panel door and we wanted to be able to have a raised panel on this one. So we went with a narrow top and bottom rail, but the side rails to match. So that's a setting in Cabinet Vision, and Cabinet Vision knows that if the drawer is a certain height, then it needs to use this narrow top and bottom rail. If it gets even
so it's like your constraint.
Mm-hmm. So here, if we go to it and we tell it that this is skinnier, now it's going to switch to a slab. And actually, in this case, it switched to nothing. But if it, oops.
You have it, the door set up, so when it goes this small, it'll go to like a flat panel. Even smaller, it'll go back to a slab.
Yep, and if it gets bigger, then it'll switch to a full-size top and bottom rail. Well, I guess that's not working on this one. It's supposed to be working, but it's not working. So that is the one that's set up as I believe, but
yeah,
I'll have to double check that.
Cabinetware has the kind of the same setup.
Gotcha. And when you,
it's a nice setting, though. It's really nice.
And the beauty is you just again set for default assembly, one split, pair door, go in behind, put your drawer stretcher in if you want it, click and make sure it's not a fixed shelf, that it's a drawer stretcher, and then we can put in one adjustable shelf. And now you're back to the original cabinet in just a matter of seconds. So you can choose to put more or less information. You can choose to show as much detail as you want. You can set the font, the spacing, and the size of all of the text. You can choose whether or not to put cabinet numbers in there. What's really nice is on any given view that you're in, you just right click off the screen over here, go to Properties, go to Layers, and now you can edit anything about what you see. So if you want to change the color of the cabinets to being blue, you can look up here. Basically, you can look at the color and go, okay, the doors are brown, so let's see what's brown. So everything that's brown is doors. So doors and drawer fronts are brown. So if you wanted to change those to blue or green or black or whatever, you could change the color on all these to be whatever you want it to be. If you look for dimensions, they're in black. You can see they're all in black. If I want
just for this room,
no, this would apply globally from this view from now on. So every time you went into this view from now on, it would be this. However, one of the things that I tell people is save your original. This is my print version, and then we go into layer sets and we just go copy, and now I can click over here and hit rename and call this and now I'll go to close and select that new one that I just made. Let's see, is it alphabetical? Where are you? Okay, where is it? I just had it.
So that's where you find it. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know why it.
I think you hit cancel.
Oh, did I accidentally hit cancel? Sorry.
I think you did.
Copy. So then you just switch to your layer set, and now you can everything that was there is right, but now let's say dimensions I want to change to blue. Now it's going to change all those dimensions to blue. Let's say I don't want cabinet numbers on there for my customers. I don't care. So I can go to advanced and we'll go to annotations, sorry, and go to advanced. And now I can, oh, come on, annotations, oh, edit, sorry, object numbers, get rid of it. Now I'll just take all the object numbers out. So you can customize this to pretty much do anything you want. And then if you have specific notes or things like that that you want, you can save those and then drop them in as you want. They could be automatic text. They could do anything. As far as that goes, it's essentially exactly the same as AutoCAD. AutoCAD calls them blocks. In Cabinet Vision, they call them groups. And so go into your layer sets, insert a symbol, and now I have a whole bunch of them in here. So I have an elevation packet that has a bunch of notes in it. And this one's for 1/2 inch scale, this one's for 3/4 inch scale, this one's for 1 inch scale. Just means the text is the right size to read on the page when you bring it in at that scale. So let's say you're going to bring it in at 3/4 scale. I drag this out. It's going to ask me for some information, the architect's reference for that elevation. So I can do 12A 201 and say this will be elevation 1. And now I just drag this over to the side. And now I can take and ungroup this, and now I can take my notes that I've got in here. These are just here to tell you what size your text needs to be. When you don't need that anymore, just get rid of it. If you do need some, editing or that kind of so you can just grab these and bring them over. And if you had, wood grain vertical or horizontal, depending on what you're wanting, you just, grab that and put it wherever you need your note, and then Control C for copy, Control V paste, Control V paste, put it wherever you need it. If this is a gyp backsplash, you can put a note in there so that they know there's not tile. There's a note for countertops, which we can change or add 3 or 4 different notes if you wanted in there. There's an alignment note if you were trying to align cabinets or something. You can put those in there. If you've got fillers, you can, there's the little filler note so that we know there's a filler there. And there's the one for the other side. And then there's one for up here on the top. And if you had a sink cabinet, you can plop that in there. And you just delete whatever you don't need. And change the numbers to match what you do need if you do need some sections. And then you can send, when this is ready, you just send it to paper. One of the things is these room notes match up with this. So you type it in one place over here, and then this room is walnut with dark stain. And you can see it filled out automatically. So by typing it into one place, those notes will show up on your cabinet sections. They'll show up on your elevations and your plans and your various different forms. You just use the parameter and have it show up like your wall elevations and your assembly sheets.
Okay. So in one place and goes to multiple.
Yep. So that way you're just typing the notes in one room one time. If the whole job is using the same cabinets and the same materials, then all you do is copy room. When you're done with one room, just copy it, and then you don't have to retype the notes at all, and you don't have to redo all the settings. If you've already gone through all of that, you can do that, or you can type the notes however you want to do it. But that way you can kind of see that, you have the ability to, put in just about anything you want as far as notes and that kind of stuff. And the one thing you can't change is your auto stuff, your automatic dimensions, which is why I usually have my automatic stuff is black. And that's why I have my dimensions set for black. And that is because I know what I can edit and what I can't. So the blue stuff I can edit, and the black stuff I cannot.
You rotate the text on the dimension line?
Yep. So you just set up your dimension style.
Oh, it's just a setup. Okay.
But if anytime you need to, you can actually just change that. So let's say in here again, let's go into drawings, layers, and go to dimensions. We should. No, it's gonna make me pick it. So that was the 3/4. So you would have to go in here to 3/4, edit it, and then where it says horizontal, you just hit
it is possible. Okay.
Yep, you just hit a line instead of horizontal. And because and then I'll just align all the text with the arrows. And you can change the spacing and all that good stuff.
Okay.
So, and like I said, just having black and blue just helps me to know what I can edit and what I can't.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so, how about we put it into, I guess, is it paper space?
Mm-hmm. Yep. All you have to do is just right click to drawing.
Okay.
And depending on your settings, so here, force drawing to black, I can turn that off and send it in color, or I can send it force to black so that it won't see the blue and the black and the brown and all that. The blue and the black and the brown is there for while I'm editing the cabinets, but I might just want everything to go to paper black. And so, but if I don't, I can just uncheck that.
Okay.
And if I do, I can leave it the way it is. And so now I can go to my drawings, and you can decide what size paper you want to use and all that good stuff for your general rule. You can always change it, but if I want to set it up, I can go into properties, which basically has all these tabs on it, and I can go through clean sheet, which will get rid of everything on the sheet. But here I can go into properties, and now I can go, all right, so my paper, what do you do? 11 by 17s, 8.5
by 11 by 17.
So I can pick this or this, either one, doesn't matter, and set as default. Scale for when I'm importing stuff, we can set it for 3/4. You can always change it, set as default. Title block, let's go with the 11 by 17 for auto text, set as default. And now every time I bring up a page, this is what it's going to look like. So, and then if I have information on the cover that I need to do, I can go into CAD at the main screen here, insert, and then I can find, I think I've got one in here for title blocks and stuff. Let's see here, legends. Oh, where was that? Where is that? Oh, okay, that does say. Okay, legends and title blocks. All right. So here's some cover sheet text, which I can drag into here, and it's basically got a bunch of auto text. But now I can come and fill that in. And
Okay.
this is all pulling information from the job. Like right now, this just says default. There's no job information there. That's because I haven't filled it out yet. So if I went into the job and said, all right, job number is 1234, description is my new kitchen, someone, then I can put an address in here, put in a city, New Hampshire, and I can put a contact. I can put the art. Usually, I'll put in the architect's information here. So,
Oh, okay.
and then
That is nice.
it starts to fill out all your information for you, and we can tweak that to basically, have whatever we want in there. And a lot of times the architect, he'll want his name over here or over here depending on how you want it. And so basically what's really cool is everything that you have, like a box like this, or you have a selection or a text, so every single line in here is usable as auto text. So you can say that, well, I'm never going to put my email on an address, but what I want is, I don't know, you might just say that I want drawn by, by Bill. And
Okay.
now you could say that you're going to type that in on email every time just because you want that note there. So I can use customer email as my auto text. So I can go back to the drawing page, I can go to CAD, and then I can type, and it's 1/4 inch tall. So I'll click here, and then this little button here allows you to pull all of the possible auto text things you can find.
Oh, nice.
And so here it was job, right? And then it was customer, and then it was email. So cust.email will give me whatever the value is in that space.
Oh,
So
that's nice.
you can find that just about anywhere. So that architect's information, if I want that to show up over here or somewhere else, I can go ahead and figure out what that is first. That was customer comment. I happen to know that. So I'm just going to go in here to job, customer comment. And I put that in there. But, oh, that was job comment. I'm sorry. That was job comment, not customer comment. So sorry. All right. So job, customer comment. All right. So now the reason I want that is so that I can copy that, cancel. Now I'm going to put a text box over here, and I'm going to go Control V, and I'm going to go over here. And now you can see that it puts in it multi-line. So now I can get rid of this one because I don't need it anymore. And I can get rid of the frame. And I can center it if I want instead of left. Let's go center. And so now I can have that be an auto text field that I can get anytime I want. And then I can just save that into the title block itself, or I can save it as an add-in that I can drop somewhere. So very powerful tool, and all of your, basically anything you can pretty much draw in AutoCAD, you can draw in here, and save them as symbols and put them in the room, and depending on how you want it. And then so once you got your cover page done, because we still got our elevation over here, uh, we'll just add another sheet. And so now that sheet's,
that's nice.
yep, because it remembers what I did, and so now I drag that in. And then if I want, I can edit anything in here that I want. And now all these black ones here I can edit. So because they're no longer static. So now I can get rid of these little parts that might make my toe kick look funny. I just go through and delete the things that
and you can only do that because you set this in as a drawing if it's a live drawing.
Yep. So now it's just become if it's a live drawing, you can't edit any of these things because they stay live, whereas all of these dimensions became static. And so now I can add things to this. Like here, I can go down to this 54 and go change it to 54 with extra text. So now I can go. So now I can, do whatever and come in here, and if these dimensions aren't quite right, if that's supposed to say 1¼ and I know what it is, but I just don't want to change it or create a whole new material for that, I can just come in here and just come down to text, and I can change that to 1/4. If that was what I needed to do. And then the ones that I don't need, like maybe I don't need that number, and I don't need that number, and maybe I don't even need that and that. So now I can just leave these the way they are. So, and because they're, usable, you can, grab them and, move them around and all kinds of stuff. If you decide, hey, you know what, I'm kind of crowded over here, let's take all of this, let's move it over here, let's flip it the other way, and then put it over there. Now you can put it over there. So very, very handy to use. If you need to change these out to text, you can just say, whatever you need to do. It's pretty easy to do. And if you don't like these dashed lines for your openings, you can turn those off so that doesn't look that way on the drawings if you want. You can, you can do just about anything. You can turn all kinds of stuff on and off, all kinds of annotations, and you can have it annotate from the inside of the cabinet instead of the outside of the cabinet if you're trying to get door sizes or door opening sizes or what have you. You really can do almost anything you want. Oh, here we got our sheet number. Yep. So we can just, so in any of these cabinets, you can generate a cross section with whatever detail you want. Let's grab. Usually I don't have that elevation setting on there, so let me just get to preferences real quick here and turn that back to normal. That way when I double click something, I can go into the cabinet. So now I have some preset notes in here, but these, again, mostly this is for commercial. So if you're not going to use any of these, just move them out of the way. So that or delete them. You can do what you want. But if you still want the little arrows and you want some of the stuff, just bring in the stuff you like and leave out the stuff you don't like. And
that makes it very handy.
And we can, choose to edit these. So I can ungroup this and say that, interior is, does have spell check for you, but nope, I want pre-finished. All right. So now I can have this in here, and just like I did with that other thing, I can go like this, and I can move this stuff around, and then I could save this whole thing, organized the way I want it, save symbol, put it in whatever group I want. Let's say I want it in this Walmart one, that's fine. And this will be a tall section notes. And then maybe whatever you do, put either PF interior, however you want to designate them, maybe walnut interior, pre-finished interior, whatever you want to do. But now that's in your symbol library. You can go right to Walmart symbols, and I thought I saved that in Walmart symbols. Did I not just save that? Did I put that in leaders? Oh, wait a minute. Was it? Yeah, sorry. It's alphabetical. So, so it moved it up on the list. But there it is. So now you have that, and you can either choose to grab all of this and save this, however you've got it. Now, if you want to, even though how I told you the libraries are basically the same thing. The cabinet looks the same in all of these, but what you can do is change the note locations in these. So if I wanted to take this library, now this cabinet could be any type of cabinet, but if I know this is my default, now I can go ahead and insert those notes on this cabinet, and then those notes would be different than my frameless notes.
Okay.
So, so that way you can have one group of notes that you save into one library, and one group of notes you save into another library, and so on and so on. You could create several libraries, or you could save all the notes into one cabinet and then just move them around. Because you can, you can put a set of notes up here, another set down here, and you could have three.
And you can do the same thing with like crown details, your molding details.
Absolutely. And what's really
cool, style details.
Yep. And what's nice is you can go to get your crown details, because we already put crown molding on these cabinets, right? So let's go in the elevation there real quick, and let's say we want to steal that crown molding detail, but I don't want to draw it. I just want it. So I'm going to go into section editor. I'm going to get the view that I want. I'm going to come up here and send that to drawing. And now I'm going to go into the drawing page and pull that out. Go into CAD. I'm going to grab that. I'm going to delete the rest of this garbage that I don't need. And I'm going to change that maybe to black if I want. And then I'm going to save that. Save symbol. And I'll just say crown 1. And now I can come into this job or any other job and can come in here and insert symbol, round 1. Plop it right in there. So very easy to work this around. And like I said, here you've got all this crown, which is way above the top of the wall. You probably wanted it down here on the face somewhere, so you can come in here. Well, actually, we probably want to grab all that too. And now I can take that and plop it right on top of the wall.
Okay.
And just a quick fix, but gives you the idea. It's better to do it in the crown molding itself, but then sometimes you might have to create 10 crown moldings of the same one, because you can set normally the spot is the bottom corner is the top corner of the cabinet. But
Oh, okay.
if you've got an overlay like this, you might want it to drop down 2 inches. So you can set the reference point up here so that it would cover 2 inches. But then some jobs you might want it to cover 1 3/4, some 2, some 2.5, some 1 inch, and now you've got the same molding drawn, 10 times. So
Yeah.
what you can do before you get to that point was just what we could have done is just lowered it by 2 inches or whatever the number is. But so for the sake of argument, let's go back to molding. Click on that molding. Then we can right click while we're hovering over it and go to its properties. Now I can change the profile and I can change its height. So we're going to say that's at 92. And that'll drop it 2 inches.
Okay.
So now it lowered it down. Maybe it needs to be another 1/2 inch. We can use the measure tool and figure that out. Here to here, my vertical number is 1/2, so I could go back into plan, go back into molding, click on it, properties, and let's change that height to 91.5. Now it's alright. And the beauty is all my notes are already in this, so if I just want to resend that to drawing so that it doesn't look like a mess, we'll just send that to drawing.
Okay. And I guess you can still do like a full cross section from a wall.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you get the uppers and the base. Okay, cross section. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yep. Now this cross section is not intelligent, so you would not be able to call in the materials off of auto text. However, you could still put notes in here.
Okay.
So, but you just have to remember that these, when you do a room level section, you can use room level notes, but not cabinet level notes. So my cabinet level notes are the auto text ones that fill in all the materials. But you can easily sit there and do this, send this to drawing, and then now you can edit it and you could use room level notes in here. So and anything that you've drawn that's a symbol, you can bring in here, like your little groupings and your crown detail, all that stuff.
And I guess you could also bring in like the base cabinet cross section and the upper cabinet cross section and like stick it kind of there so it lines up, but then you'd still have all your room or cabinet level notes.
Yep. So if you're wanting the way you do it, if you're wanting to have all the auto text type stuff, is essentially you just make 2 cross sections. So you just make this one, send that to drawing. I didn't do a interior. Well, let's send that to drawing. And then you take your base cabinet, which we'll just do this one here real quick. Send that to drawing. And then if I know it's 54 inches from the bottom here to there, so now I can come into my drawing page and let's just throw another page in there so this doesn't get too squirrely. So now I can take this and I can either go, I'll go with this one here and I'll do a line. We'll start here and I'm going to go straight up 5, 4. And then if I've got, I don't know, that's 2 3/8 minus 3/4, so that's 1 5/8. So let's go up another 1.625 so we can grab the bottom, and then we'll just go over there like that real quick. So now I know where this cabinet goes. So now I can take this cabinet by that little back thing there and set it right there.
Nice.
So, and then this one needs a countertop. So I just go into my little countertop area here and grab a solid surface top, a quartz top, whatever I want to grab. And so you can, you can make all kinds of these up and have them, uh, in a library, just so you can drop them in with whatever notes and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, makes it nice.
So there's, for the most part, you can draw pretty much as fast in this as you can in anything else because, if they're like, well, I can make a bunch of symbols and save them in a library. Well, here you go.
Yeah.
How many categories you want? There's all the categories of
And we can
symbols.
totally customize them and.
Yep. There.
Okay.
I grab whole floor plans off of PDFs and drop them in here. So that's a whole floor plan of a apartment.
And then you just trace the walls.
And yep, I just trace them.
Okay.
I just trace right over the top. If the architect gives me numbers, then I can go in and I can trace right over the top. I can get a new job out here. Go to CAD, insert symbol. Oh, let's see, 500. There's 500 walnut, and drop it. And just for the sake of, I'm going to turn the block off. And now I can zoom out. And there's my kitchen. There's my chef's kitchen. There's the den. There's the bar. All the information I need is right there. I just pulled it off the PDF and edited it.
Save a lot of time.
Yep. Yeah, because I've got an island with seating, and then I've got one elevation here, an elevation here, and an elevation here. So I can work on this whole kitchen. And these are all chairs going around a table, which they didn't come in real great, but that's all right. I don't really need them. So these are just cabinet vision drawings, so I don't have to make mine look exactly like the architect, but it's handy that you can just drop them right in. You can import them.
Was this PDF brought in through Cabinet Vision, or did you use a third party to make it a graphic?
I use a program called PDF and then the number 2 DWG. And,
okay.
And it's $95 for one seat, and I think they have multiple licenses, but I just have one seat on one of my laptops, and I just use that whenever I'm converting. And you can open it up and open up a PDF, pick the page that you want, and convert it into a DXF.
Nice.
And then
yeah, I use what is it? Let's see. Print to PDF. Oh, print to CAD AI.
Oh, okay, is that an add-on for AutoCAD?
It's a standalone. I think it's like the same thing as that print to PDF.
Yeah, I heard if you have the AutoCAD subscription, you can get that for free, which I have it. In fact, I finally just downloaded 2019 the other day, but because I bought it at the end, when before it went away for being able to buy it, and then I renew it every year. But they're kind of screwing us all over, but whatever. At any rate, but because I buy it, I've heard there's a free version that you can get of the PDF to DWG. So I got to look into it. But because I pay to have it on subscription as well every year, so it renews to the latest version, then they give you all those extra things. So.
Nice.
But it ain't cheap.
Yeah.
It was like $4,500 for the seat, and it's $525 a year. And they just told us last year, yeah, we've decided to take away. You remember how we promised all of you guys that bought it before it was no longer for sale that you'd be able to renew it every year forever for $500? Well, we decided to change our minds. So they said you'll be able to renew it for the next 2 years, and then you'll have to pay the full subscription fee whether you renew it or not. So you'll have to pay $1,900 a year to use the program you already paid to own.
Yeah, that kind of sucks.
Yep. So, which Cabinet Vision's almost that bad, but not quite. So they're up around $1,200 for one seat to renew every year.
Wow.
And they only charge you like an extra $100 for each additional seat, I think it is. But they hit you for that first one. I think it's maybe it's 1,000, but it's up there.
Okay. Well, I want to say that covered it because I guess you can do the same thing with like with the crowns and
Yep.
just trying to think of what else you needed.
Yeah, you can do pretty much anything, and the beauty of this is when you're doing your presentation drawings. If you're already drawing all this in Cabinet Vision, um, and you don't just change this to wireframe just to make it easier to move everything around, but you can like hide walls. So like this wall's right in the way, right? This wall. I want to be able to see that cabinet. So this would be wall 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to right click over here to the show hide walls, and I'm just going to hide wall 4. Now it's gone. It's out of my way. So now I can get at this, put it where I want it, and then I can set my properties so that this goes to a hidden line drawing by default. And now I can send it a drawing. Now I have a 3D render I can send out there, which looks way better than just that. Because and what's cool too is like, let's say your tables, you can delete this scene and then pull it right back in. Whatever you did to it just pulls right back in.
That's nice.
So yep, so that way if I decide, you know what, I want to put that 3D rendering on this page, and then I'm gonna go to a different page for that other stuff, and so I can just delete it off that page and go with wherever. There's my elevation, so now I can drop my elevation in, and it remembers everything you did. And all of this is live when it's well, actually this one now is
even
not.
though the drawing is static, the text will update.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the whole point of my system for the commercial guys is I set it up. Now, this particular one is not live, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So, because I put those room notes in here in the elevation, the link between this information and this table gets broken when you send it out. So if I were to,
if we kept it live, it would still be okay.
It would, and here's the other thing, you can put all of this in, just leave the title bar out. So
put that into the drawing.
Exactly. So if you put the title bar in, see, I just took the word stain off, right? So here it took it off, but if I go back into my drawing page, I can see the word stain is still there. But if I come in here and insert that elevation group again, and I'm not going to put anything in because I don't want the whole thing, I just want this. So all I want is this little area. So let's ungroup the symbol and put it over here, and then get rid of all of this garbage because we don't need it. All right, so here I've got this one, and this one has dark, but stain is gone. So now if I take, made some new note, then go to my drawings, this one will update. This one will not. So just plop this in after the fact. Once you send it to paper, just plop this in, because you don't need all that auto text stuff. All you need is this to be auto text, and this is all just notes that you're putting in.
Yeah, okay.
So that way instead you just get rid of this one, and then that way this will, the scale will update automatically. The architect's reference, if you go, well, actually architect's reference and this number would not update, but all of this will update. Like, we didn't give it that room a name, so let's go into room and tell it that it's a kitchen. Now you can go into your drawings and it's a kitchen. So that's the beauty of this is when you forget things, you don't have to start over again because everything's automatic as far as you can get.
You don't have to go in every page and
Mm-hmm.
change it. That's what we're doing now. If you change something, you got to go through and change it in 5, 6 different places.
Yeah, right. And that's where mistakes are made. And that was why I
Yeah.
came up with the system I did so that there are fewer opportunities for mistake. You change things in one place. That's at the room level. You change it up here at the room level and then everywhere else automatically changes
Nice.
because you've got your schedules with the different kinds of woods in them and stuff like that. And if I'm inside this cabinet and I want to, or one of my cabinet sections, let's go back to the drawing page and find that door base end. Um, well, let's throw another page on there and then put it in. So now if I've got this door base end, I've got these notes, which, if I need to, these are slightly out of whack because of the depth of the cabinet. So I'm just going to grab this and move this out. Actually, that's for the lock. So let's go back and put that door where it goes. So that's the handle. That would be for a lock if you had one. We don't have one. That's an elbow catch. We don't have one. That's fine. This is my shelf clips, my shelf material, and my thickness. So we'll just drop that up here and put this over here. There's my back. There's my hinge. There's my cabinet bottom, toe kick, and if I had assembly dowels, which I could delete that one. All right, so now I've got my notes all where they're supposed to be. Now I can insert my two-door table. And if I know the architect's reference, and this can be detail, say, call this D1, on sheet 2 or 3 or 4, whatever it is. I think it's 4. And I'm just going to drop it out here. It doesn't matter because it drops as a group, so you don't have to worry about it landing on other stuff. And if you have this stuff, you have that, you can use it. But if you don't, then just get rid of this note. You don't need it. And just grab all this stuff and just move it over here to a nice little area. Now everything in here is auto text.
Oh, that is so handy.
So all your materials, all the notes, all of your room numbers, cabinet names, scale. If I take this thing and drag it to another size, it knows
Oh, wow.
that whatever the size is, I can go in here and change it to a size that I want. That puts it in there. So all of this is automated. So that's the whole point of people buying my system is this chart gives you all of the cabinet materials. So in this case, we only had unfinished ends. So there's just unfinished ends. There's no finished ends on that particular cabinet. So it didn't fill out a finished end. And on the doors, I've got to set it up so that for residential. So I need a couple extra columns in here for residential is all.
Okay.
So, but there's your adjustable shelf with your, whatever kind of shelf pins you're using and stuff like that. You just have this tell it that is HW4. So your shelf support, well, here we have none. So apparently on that one, we don't have the shelf support UCS turned on yet because I don't have that turned on for face frame cabinets because it moves in 3/4 of an inch difference, the face frame thickness difference. So, but this table is designed so that you can piece it together however you like. So basically, let's go back in here. So let's say you're looking at this table, and let's grab this and move this out of the way and go, you know what, I don't want to call out the shelf supports or elbow catches or any of this, so let's ungroup. And keying information, that's kind of a commercial note. We don't need that. Elbow catches, don't need it. Drawer locks, don't need it. Door locks, don't need it. Shelf supports, don't need it. But I might want my hinge and my pulls. So group it together. Now let's take this one and we can again ungroup this and go toe kick, don't need that, cabinet bottom, don't need that, backs, maybe, shelves, maybe, doors, finished ends, unfinished ends, probably want that stuff in there. So we can leave that. So now you can just take this and save this one into your library.
Wow. Oh, that's very powerful.
So yeah, you can just and you have the numbers, so just leave the numbers alone. And your architect doesn't care, what the number is, but all the numbers in the cabinets match all the numbers in the tables, match all the auto text, all of that. So as long as you don't go changing the numbers around and the values in here, everything is ready to use, and you can just pull it up when you need it. So, and as far as like edge banding goes, we don't need that on face frame cabinets and so forth. So we can create a whole nother um, group of symbols that's, basically we can copy this table and create a group here for face frame stuff, one group for frameless. Um, that way it'll, frameless commercial, frameless wood, face frame wood. You can create all of that stuff and we can make this all work for residential too. I just don't have as many residential customers as I do commercial customers, and the residential customers I do have, most of them, probably 90% of them, just do frameless. They don't do face frame, so pretty much everything I've already created for commercial works for them.
Okay.
So we just have to add some face frame options in here to make it a little more user friendly for the face frame stuff.
Okay. Well, I think you've covered everything I needed to see.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful and fast. And like I said, if you go to the, I think you've probably already been to my website, right?
I've been to your YouTube page.
The YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's the one. So
For
if your
videos
guys
on
are
that.
looking at making drawings and stuff, or editing things, there's a lot of information on there that they can use. And if you need movies on any particular task, just let me know and I'll just make a movie and send it to you.
Okay.
Or I'll post it.
Okay. I guess could I get a copy of this, or do you want to,
Yep.
I guess, post it, or?
Yeah, let me do a hour and 12.